Did you wear your Lane Hatcher jersey?
I didn't.
For
You
the
know what? I
fans at
haven't. Let
home,
me let me go get it.
for the fans at home, I was on eBay because I do shopping therapy, and I was on eBay and I was looking for Texas State gear that former athletes might sell online, and I ran across a vintage now Lane Hatcher jersey, and I sent it to Jacob and I made fun of it on Twitter, and Jacob said, "You know what? Somebody's got to buy this thing because it can't go to a UTSA fan to burn. We need to have it for our effigy." So he bought it, and this is what it looks like for you guys watching on Spotify and YouTube. It looks good. I don't think that it looks bad, but I was told that it has a cosmetic issue.
I don't even see what they were talking about.
I don't think so either. I think that looks good. I think that you should wear that to the spring game on a Saturday,
I
Jacob.
definitely will not wear this at the spring game in the press. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm gonna cover the. I won't wear this on Saturday. Also, this is definitely not a game worn jersey, so kind of a fraud artist. But this is like definitely someone that's had some relationship with Lane Hatcher, who made this jersey because it's just jersey knit,
Is it
whatever.
screen print?
No, it's like real embroidery.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's just no Adidas or anything on it. There's no logo at all, actually.
I'm telling you, man, I think that you should wear that and be a proud Bobcat.
This is
A
really
proud,
like Southwest colors, though, like that old like hot maroon that they
yeah,
would use. So
yeah.
like, I don't know. I'm glad it did go to us though, because I don't need weird people just having Texas State gear. I'd rather it go to us. At least we're losers with, I guess, money now that I can just blow $30 on a jersey.
Lane Hatcher, give us the Lane Hatcher. Give us your PO box. We will send it. We'll get it signed, and we'll give it back. And then Jacob can hang it on his wall. He can
Yeah,
have a
then it'll
signed
be a
Lane Hatcher
real
jersey.
jersey. Yeah. If you
Yeah,
have
he
a
can have a signed
Sunbelt
Lane
patch,
Hatcher
throw it
jersey.
in for me too. I'll throw that on.
I'll throw on the postage.
Yeah, I'll pay for shipping if Lane agrees.
There you go. Clip it.
Wait, what if he just takes my stuff? I guess that's theft, and I can call the
Why
police.
would he? Why would he take the Texas State jersey? Let's be
Hello,
real here.
officer. A quarterback robbed me over the mail. He committed fraudulent mail scheme. That's
I love
crazy.
it.
Yeah, no, I feel pretty good about the purchase though. Even it's not a real Lane Hatcher jersey, so you can't really be mad at a fake. Not, you know, because
Fake quarterback, fake
people
jersey.
when I said we bought it, people were like, "Burn it," and I was like, "The fuck?" Like,
Fake quarterback, fake jersey. So I'm glad you have it, buddy.
thanks. Yeah. No, our plan is to one day own a bar in San Marcos and we'll hang it up there and we'll tell people all about this crazy little story about the little quarterback who could and then didn't ultimately. And to a bunch of people who no longer care about this thing because we're not even playing football anymore because that's the future.
Maybe Texas State can give us some land. They give me a hat. Maybe they can give us a little corner.
A little, yeah, just enough for a bar.
Yeah.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squarin' Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Squaring Around. My name's Jacob Rodriguez. That's Andrew Zimmel, now known as the Round Man of Sound. He's doing a rebrand, thanks in part to his mom, I think.
Yeah, no, best nickname ever. She was doped up on Benadryl yesterday and was like the round mound of sound because I was telling her I lost a bunch of weight from the pandemic. I lost all my pandemic weight. And she said you were the round mound of sound. Hell, I'm still kind of round. We'll go with it. You totally shortchanged yourself. Local celebrity Jacob Rodriguez. You got people coming up to you on the street now being like, hey, I know you from that little podcast.
A
So
little podcast
congratulations
that
to
could.
you.
It was
Yeah.
fun. I went out to the UTSA game last night. Go Bobcats. Beat UTSA, evened up the series for the year. They embarrassed us in San Marcos, so we did a little favor for them in the rain.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So congratulations to you, and thank you, fans. If you see Jacob, please feel free to assault him. He'll be at the spring game this Saturday, which is what we're talking about. So this will be a good little segue for you.
Yeah,
You see
shout out
Jacob there.
Alan at TXST Game Day. So what's up, dude? And then I saw Dr. Kelly Danfus, of course, friend of the podcast. That was fun too. he was out in a parka like a Jedi. You know, he was just like passing through UTSA kids, and only the proud, the Texas State alums that were in the stands yelling at the umpire, and Coach Pat got thrown out of the game for UTSA's side. Said what's up to him.
Good for you, man. I'm glad. I'm glad that you're getting the recognition you greatly deserve. And we have a new producer too.
Oh yeah,
Producer Alyssa, who, you know,
Alan
has done
called. He was like, "Hey, it's great to see you." You know, obviously nobody's gonna see Zimmel for a very long time.
Obviously,
because his career is just in North Dakota apparently. But some guy did come up to me and go, "Hey, yeah, you know, and your producer too." And he pointed to my girlfriend Alyssa, who was toughing it out in the rain. So shout out to her for that.
shout out to her for that. I would have left you.
Producer now.
Yeah, everybody's a producer, doing a good job cutting the clips. All right, let's talk spring game, man. I'm excited
this
for
is
it.
the Republic of Football podcast with Dave Campbell's. This has actually worked out perfectly in our content calendar. When we agreed to come aboard with the Dave Campbell's crew, it was like 4 weeks ago now, and I was like, okay, every other week we're gonna do an episode until we get to the spring game, and then all of our content is just kind of from after that point, and it's done that.
Yeah, okay, cool. But like, let's talk spring game. I don't really care about your content calendar.
You are kind of the content manager, though.
Yeah, I know. But like, do you want to just start it? Just got the spring game. Is this the biggest spring game in the last 5 years?
No, because none
really.
Of them. Yeah, I mean,
I think this is huge.
This is my spring game take. Does it matter?
Yes,
it matters.
100%. I think this is why. Because when Withers showed up, that spring game, for people who were able to go to it, wasn't very good. That was the take in 2015.
Were you there?
Spavital's first spring game, I remember a lot of excitement. Everybody was super excited. It was on the radio in Austin. They played it, you know, everywhere. And I remember people leaving it being like, didn't see a whole lot. You know, it's early. Well, I think that this one is really important, and we're going to talk about all the different question marks around the different positions and everything like that. I think it's really important because I think this is where you really establish what type of team you are. Because if you go back and look at those spring games with Spavital, there was never any real creativity. It was very much like run-of-the-mill, curls, halfback dive, couple slants. It wasn't anything really special, and I think Kinne has a really good chance in this spring game to get people excited. You know, this is it, man. This is the first time. This is your curtain call. This is your rehearsal, your dress rehearsal. This is the first time fans are going to get to see what type of team you put on the field. So I think it is important, dude.
It's a true reintroduction for the team. I'll agree with you 100% on that. It's a team. It's a way for the school, the university, obviously, to show out. They're having like a whole tailgate setup. It's going to be exactly like one of our home game experiences. Obviously, with way less people, you know, at the tail end of the semester.
I hope not.
It will be.
I think.
100%.
Well, the home games at the back end of the season weren't getting that many fans.
That's what I'm saying.
So I'm saying, like, I think that there's a chance that it hits the same mark that the last home game made.
I'm gonna have to do some research on the attendance. I'll double check with what they have too.
Circle back. I just think that, like, this is, you said it's not important. I'm going opposite end of the spectrum. I think that this is super important because if they look terrible, if they look bad, then you have 3 months to try to talk yourself into being like, well, the last time I saw this team in action, they were awful. And the spring game wasn't very good. Why should I be excited? So I think they have a really good chance here to put 10 toes on the ground and say, this is the brand. This is what we're establishing this year.
I guess it's easy for me to be so, I guess, like, keeping this team at a distance for me too, though, because just what we've been through in the past. But also it feels kind of like we're in a long distance relationship with this team, you know? We haven't been boots on the ground, you or me, just because of what we have to do to sustain a living. Yeah, exactly. And then also, you know, these guys are just kind of like names on a roster to us. Like, they don't really mean a whole lot for the team right now. You know, they've yet to play it down. We'll talk about that a little bit too when we talk about individual positions and kind of like what that means in the grander scheme of things. But Until I kind of get out there and fall in love with one person at a position, kind of like I've already done with Malik. But we'll talk about that in a second. That's kind of what it'll be like to me. I would just be like keeping this team kind of half away from me.
At arm's length. That's completely fair. I go through the cycle every single year of that, where the season's done. I delete the phone number. I say no more booty calls. We're going to cut them off completely clean. And then by April, I'm calling at 2 a.m. saying, "What are you up? Are you up? What's happening? What's going on with the football team?" That's the cycle that I've gone through every single year.
And can I get a free jersey? That's the other add-on that you throw in there.
Look, I'm sorry that my alma mater supports me more than it supports you. That's just
sure it does.
That's what happens when you are the guy. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Texas State Sports Press, it's got some perks.
Maybe it's because too, like the baseball team has had so much success. The basketball team's had a lot of relative success too in the past couple of years, even though they didn't get the finish that they wanted this year or the entire regular season, basically. But because we've been like kind of so on the money with those and being able to call it like it is, and just seeing how they do, football even being remotely successful at this point is kind of like mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, competence. That's what I think your deal is. It's just competence. And look, you can win off the field a lot, and every coach will tell you that you got to win off the field before you can win on the field, right? If you got to tie your shoelaces before you can make that game-winning tackle. But I just look at it like GJ Kinne feels like the right hire. Don feels like the right guy at the helm. Dampus feels like the right guy signing all the checks. So everything kind of feels like it should line up. Now, the question is, for Texas State fans, I think, is do you believe in, like, if you keep doing the right thing, that good things will happen to you, right? A little philosophical question for you on a Wednesday morning. If you keep doing the right thing, will it all work out? And I think that it will. I think that because you put everybody in positions to succeed, success will come. So spring game is the first chance to really show Texas State fans, like, we're in the right stream, we're doing the right things.
It starts first with manifestation. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of. Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right. Well, the first thing I want to talk to you about, and we've talked about it a little bit on this podcast, on our main show, the quarterback situation at Texas State.
Mm-hmm.
None of these guys have played significant football at the collegiate level.
Now, okay, here's the thing. So we have really only been talking about Malik the last couple months, right? But I want to throw 2 names out there. Ty Evans, I want to throw C.J. Rogers. Okay. Now, Ty Evans is a known commodity relatively to Texas State fans because that's a guy that was on the roster last year, didn't get any playing time. C.J. Rogers didn't play at Baylor. I should say redshirted at Baylor. Do either one of those guys percolate you in any way? Do either one of those names say to you, like, 3-person quarterback battle, right? Because I think it's a 3-person quarterback. No, you don't care. Malik is just your guy. You're running with Malik.
Yeah.
I want to run with Malik as well, but I am a person who, I don't buy everything fans say. I think Squarin lovers tell a little bit of truth, though, and Arkansas fans were not exactly thrilled with the way that he went about his business as a Razorback, that they thought that he was a NFL quality running back, NFL quality wide receiver who refused to switch positions to help Arkansas win games.
I think he's big enough to be a running back at that level?
At the NFL level, I don't know. I think that's
kind of a stretch.
I think that he have to hit the weight room a little bit, but wide receiver is completely doable, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So Razorback fans, Arkansas fans, leave and they say, "Hey, wish you nothing but the best." I don't think I saw a lot of negative comments on any of his posts when it comes out, and maybe he probably will tell us a different story. If you talk to him, he probably has all of those printed out. And
there's a reason why you can't reply to his story on Instagram.
Yeah, well, it's probably true. So they are not happy with the way things went with him. They said the arm strength wasn't for a Power 5 quarterback. They said luck in the Sun Belt. My thing has been, the Sun Belt has had a couple pretty good quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Like, Sun Belt doesn't just like roll out of bed and run the ball 700 times, right? Some teams do, but there's other teams like, McCall at Coastal Carolina, Zach Thomas for years at App State. Those are really good quarterbacks at any level of college football. So it makes me a little nervous when they talk about when, Razorback fans talk to us and say, "Hey, Malik doesn't have the arm strength to play quarterback." That makes me a little nervous. not having any real film on Ty Evans or CJ Rogers. So the last time you can really see these guys play is high school, and that was 2-3 years ago for some of these guys. So it really, dude, it is a big question mark, and I think that's why you're so high on Malik, is because that's the only guy that we actually have any real tape on. Anything that you really can see.
And that's even from high school, really. Like, this is significant game reps that we can see. He won, I think, a couple of state titles at Fort Bend Marshall. Officially listed, I should say, 185, 6'2" on Texas State's website. And he was the first player announced in the hashtag Take Back Texas signing class. So he's literally this team's cornerstone. Obviously, in as high pace of an offense as Texas State is planning to run, it's going to be the quarterback who picks up the offense the fastest.
You hope, right?
You hope. Yeah, I mean, if you just start throwing athletes at athlete problems, that's where kind of Jake Spavital actually ran into problems, is he was plugging in these athletes that did not fit the scheme that he was running.
It was weird, man. It's always going to be it's always going to be weird to me that it didn't work with him, especially with quarterbacks, because, Tyler Vitt, probably not the athlete that you need him to be. Brady McBride, a little bit more in that vein. It just was weird that they never were able to really, hit anything out of the park. But I do want to remind you that Damian Williams was a quarterback from Florida State, came to Texas State in the Withers era, and wasn't really that guy.
You'll like this. You'll like this. Ty Evans, listed at 2'10", 6'3". Guess his major's in.
Is it journalism?
Electronic media. Pretty close.
Oh, dude. Dude. That's a call. Ty, call me. We can talk. I can get you a job outside of media. You don't want to get into this medium, bro. It's cutthroat out here. You'll end up in North Dakota.
You can be our intern on the pod if you need experience.
I honestly, shout out after the season. We'd love to have you. We need an intern. You and Alyssa cut too many clips for us. Yeah. So, all right.
And wait, just before you move on, CJ Rogers listed at 200, also 6'3". So Malik is technically the smallest of the quarterbacks, which is why he's probably so fast. But
not carrying that extra weight. I don't know, man. Did GJ, you watch more of GJ at UIW than I probably did. I only watched a handful. And then, of course, the North Dakota State game. Did he have a quarterback?
I didn't watch anything.
did he have a quarterback that was really mobile? Was it somebody that was like Hornsberry?
It was Lindsey Scott Jr.
Yeah. Does Lindsey Scott Jr. give you Hornsberry vibes?
Man of the Year, Lindsey Scott Jr.
The Heisman winner.
The guy who has his jersey retired in Canton, I guess, wherever the little college football part of the Hall of Fame is.
Does he really?
He does.
Wow. Did not know that. All right. Good for him. So quarterback room. You have Malik. I have the field. Because I think CJ Rogers and Ty Evans have a shot at this. Until GJ Kinne tells us, hey, it's Malik's job to lose, I'm running with the field. I think that those other two guys have a shot here.
Yeah, I wish I had looked this up a little bit sooner, because their measurables are all the same, So it's really going to be about who can be the most consistent,
who knows the playbook,
and who can pick up the playbook the fastest. And right now, the only thing that Malik has going for him really is his speed and maybe an arm. I'm not sure.
He's a better athlete.
You have to be decided.
And
we should also preface this, right? We've had friends go to the spring games. We've had a few of our listeners go out to the junior day and have a good time out there. But we have to remember that the university, the athletics department, really is ensuring that these guys are getting the best looks from the media when they're doing that. So they're not calling, the Hail Mary throw or the last chance out. They're trying to make sure that all of these quarterbacks, all of these players have a individual opportunity to look good across the board. Regardless of whoever's filming there that day has some good tape on all of them.
Well, and that's why the spring game is going to be interesting, right? Is because now you're in, quote, live situations. Now, I do think that GJ said that the quarterbacks won't be live, which probably for the best. Probably
right. You put on the red jersey. There's a few people right now that are dealing with some injuries on the wide receiver side too. They'll also have red jerseys too.
Probably the right idea. But man, this could be interesting because, like I said, I'm going. I like CJ Rogers. I like the Baylor connection. I like what he kind of brings to the table with his intangibles. From what my understanding is, Ty Evans. You think that he would have a shot at having inside track, but I don't think he does because it's a new coaching staff and everything. So I think that all these guys are kind of at square one. And
Yeah, I think it's a pretty even keel with these guys. Like they don't bullshit anybody, you know. You can't bullshit a bullshitter. I got told that a lot at Texas State. So those guys can sniff that through like anything, you know. I think Texas State people have like probably the best filter for people. They're like, oh, this guy's a con man on the square. Can't talk to him.
I don't think so. I vehemently disagree. I think that Texas State has been taken for a long con, multiple times.
I'll give you the first one. Dennis Francione, con man.
Yeah, no, it's like, come on.
Big
You're saying
con.
bullshit or bullshits? No, man. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Bullshit.
I want to move on.
Country club dues paid for sure. Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
You want to talk offense or defense?
Let's talk.
You want to stay offense?
Yeah, let's stay
All
on.
right. Running back room. This is the first time, Jacob, in the 6 years that I've covered this team, that like keeping up, knowing everything that I need to know. This is the first time that I can say that we have two legit running backs. We have two guys who I feel comfortable running the rock. And of course, it's going to be Calvin Hill, who everybody was really excited about. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He did a lot of cool stuff in the passing game last year. And then it was also Lincoln. What was his last name? Pear?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lincoln Pear.
Lincoln Perry.
Those two guys have a chance this year to really, I think, do something special with this offense because every team across the board, they know you got to run the ball. You got to establish the run before you can really get the passing game going. Doesn't matter if it's Pee Wee football or the NFL, you got to get the running game going. The question is, can those two guys stay healthy? Because that has really been the Achilles heel for the Texas State Bobcats, is health at the running back room. If those two guys can stay healthy, you got two guys who legitimately can hurt you in the running game and in the passing game. And that's going to be really important to give you different looks, give the defense different looks.
I think the guy I'm most excited to see on Saturday is Denario Davenport. Throughout this week, I've heard so much good things about players from Kilgore College because of that interview that Brian Holloway did this past week.
You know, you coming from Kilgore College, there's a lot of Kilgore connections around Texas State with this team specifically right now. I mean, you've got guys you played with on that team. You were just talking about it. Coach Greg was the linebacker coach there. What is it about Kilgore? Why are so many the Kilgore guys coming over to Texas State?
Man, Kilgore they put out good athletes. You know, I've been with Caleb before Dement. You know, I was at Kilgore with him. Coach Greg, who's now the corners coach, he was a linebackers coach at Kilgore, so he coached me. Man, I don't know, Kilgore's is different. They put out products, and it's a little grimy up there, in the middle of nowhere, East Texas. You really have nothing to do but get better. Just work on your craft, and I think that plays a big role in why we put out so many products. I think the year I was there, we had, I think, somewhere between 40 and 45 people on my team go D1.
We'll get a new round of media stuff tomorrow for their media day Thursday, ahead of the spring game too. So who knows? More clips to come. But I also think kind of like, what's the saying in the running back room? Like lowest hat up, heavy or highest hat wins or whatever that is. I think heaviest hat wins. So I'm going to sort these guys by size. Jamel Jeter, 225, 6 feet. Denario Davenport's 205. Ahead of him, though, is Trent Lacey, 220. Again, all these guys, to us, just names really on a spreadsheet because I've yet to see any of these guys play. So I haven't really fallen in love with them.
So you're going with the guys who just can put on the most weight, put on the biggest size versus a guy like Calvin Hill, who you have a little bit of film on him. You know what he kind of looks like from last year.
I like Lincoln, too, a lot. I just don't know really what anything is going to look like with what GJ is going to run. It's definitely a pass first offense.
So yeah, having running backs that can catch the ball are kind of important,
but also blocking running backs pretty important in that shotgun offense.
Sure. I guess what you're saying is correct. I don't
Like
know.
Zeke at Oklahoma, like one of the best pass for run or blocking running backs.
Who?
Zeke.
Where did he play?
Ezekiel Elliott,
Where did he
Ohio.
play?
The
Ohio State.
University. My bad.
Anyway, so Calvin Hill, I'm going with Hill as the number 1 running back in the room. You're going with anybody else.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, that's fair. I think that they're due for a big season. He had, I think, 500 plus yards. Parr had 500 plus yards. There's a pretty good shot that both those guys rush for. I'm not saying 1,000, but I'm saying around probably 700, 800 yards if they stay healthy. Running game's going to be important, man. Especially when you look around the rest of the Sun Belt and then look at these defenses.
They just grind you out.
Yes, the defenses in this conference are no joke. And if they can just get any semblance of a running game that can give your quarterbacks, give your wide receivers a little bit of a break, that is the path for a 6-6 season. Danfus, Kinne, everybody's telling me 13-0. I'm going 6-6. That is, to me, that's as good as we can get. Like,
I
get
have
to 6-6.
not maintained 13-0. I will say though, Calvin Hill, great player for the Bobcats. Though he's 5'8", 185, so it doesn't really fit what I just said at all.
So pocket watching Jacob also hates short kings, and that's ironic.
Yeah,
the broke short guy hates the little running backs. That's tough.
The little running back that could. No, I mean, I think in a 2 RB set, Calvin could definitely have some chance to shine. He has got that Tony Pollard-ish pop, so.
Yeah,
Just throwing out Cowboy references today too. To be honest,
I'm not comparing him to NFL running back Tony Pollard. I will compare him. I don't know what I'm going to compare him to. I'm not comparing him to anything. I think that he's a good individual running back, and it feels like he's been here a while. It feels like Texas State runs through these running backs, and they just are on campus for 10 years. It's like I remember watching him when he was younger.
He's a redshirt junior, so
yeah. I feel like I've been looking at his name for a while on the depth chart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and he's played a decent amount of games. So, yeah, I think another room, kind of like the quarterback room, where all these guys have basically a blank slate to rewrite their own history. It will be interesting, I guess, when we get to the next big portal date to see who jumps in and jumps out. That's also the next thing I want to talk about, because we just lost a center.
SILAS Robinson.
So, centers wanted, centers needed. GJ kind of hinted at it at a press conference recently, like, oh, could we talk about this yet? And he looked over at our boy, Chris Coots, and Chris said, do not talk about that right now.
We saw last week that SILAS Robinson's in the transfer portal. How important is locking down the center position? We saw Jaden Smith getting in there and Austin Markowicz. Is it a position of need for you now, or are you feeling pretty comfortable with what you got?
Yeah, definitely a position of need. I'm not sure we can comment on guys that aren't here, but, definitely a position of need and something we'll probably address when that portal window opens up.
So, obviously, they're definitely in talks with people, but because of that next transfer portal date, can't really be, very like, we're talking to this guy right now and we're going to offer him as soon as possible.
That is rough. And, center, very important position. We talked about it off air a little bit.
Very important for the 2 positions we just talked about, too. Quarterback and
running back and quarterback. I mean, can you add a center this late in the game? Can a center jump in and, make an impact this late?
I know they have guys rotating in and out. I mean, that's kind of what it's going to be for at least the foreseeable future in the spring until the true freshmen come in, and then the rest of that transfer group comes in for the summer workouts. Which
I have a hot take.
Isn't even that far away. It's only like a month after the spring.
It's a month away. I have a hot take. I don't think Texas State's ever been good enough at the skill positions to blame the offensive line for their problems. This year could be different. I'm very high. Not so much high on the wide receivers, but I'm high on the running backs. I'm high on the quarterbacks. And if the offensive line doesn't give them any time, this would be the first year that I can actually point my stubby finger and say it's the fat boys' problems. They're the reason that these issues are happening.
You and I both heard it like, wow, this is the best offensive line Texas State's ever had. So
we've heard that 2 years ago.
I guess so.
Remember when we had the Canadian guys with the maple syrup? People were excited. Yeah. So look, I'm just saying that we were in talks. We were talking about the offensive line, man. What the hell are they? What's the problem? You know,
Christ. You know, we have a freshman, a redshirt freshman who's 350 pounds.
he's a big boy. I like that. I like him big.
Freddie Murphy, number 69, Zim.
He could be the Zimmel player of the week.
I don't
he
have
could
a
be the
pick.
guy that we watch every week.
Kind of sucks.
I love it.
Nice.
I got the 69 jersey. I'll wear it every Saturday for this guy.
I think another thing too, when you're looking at that filling that center position, is because they're running such a like you have to be in shape and very like agile and athletic to play in this system. They got to find the right guy for that too. And those guys all want to get paid. So we're going to run into some money issues. Though I will say, I was talking about it at the beginning of this podcast. I was at UTSA last night. Our situation, totally better than theirs. So.
Have you been to the Alamo Dome recently?
No, the last time I was there, I got kicked out.
Yeah, it's probably for the best.
Okay.
It is, that they have so much potential. That place has a lot of potential, but man, is it ugly.
Well, the thing that they're battling too, and Alyssa's dad is a graduate of UTSA, so he's very high on the school and sets me straight anytime I have a bad take. But I was
no
like,
such thing.
The San Antonio Missions,
the baseball team.
Yeah, the minor league affiliate over here, with the Padres. That's their team, their feeder team. But they're trying to do a new stadium. So they have a new group that includes David Robinson, Manu Ginobili, and a bunch of other people. They're trying to do a new stadium downtown. It's going to be super sick. I was like, why doesn't UTSA just go in halfsies with these guys, share the stadium, make it really badass? And he was like, but it won't be at the school. And I was like, oh, I forget y'all are trying to build a culture over here too at La Cantera, which is at the other side of town.
Yeah, at La Cantera, across the street from Six Flags, the culture of UTSA.
So you're talking about extreme, literally far west side or northwest or whatever it is, to downtown, which I live downtown. It took me 40 minutes to get to that game yesterday.
That's rough. I look, Texas State has a good situation. The on-campus baseball and football stadium are, it's surprising how well that worked out for us. Even with Ocarina being absolutely dog shit, like it has worked out really good.
Well, you know what they're not making any more of them is land, and that's what Texas State had a bunch of because nobody wanted to build in the damn hills. So Texas State just bop, 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 bop. And I know everybody talks a little trash on Denise Trouth, but you kind of got to give the girl credit for signing a bunch of checks for basically expanding all this stuff. She's the builder. She's built more buildings on campus than any president before.
Yeah, well, Texas State wasn't doing a lot for like 75 years. Yeah, so I don't
pour the concrete machine over there.
Yeah, I'm not giving her too much credit.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's part of the reason is she was just signing checks left and right.
Let's flip
Our
over
facilities are a little bit more up to date, is what I'm trying to say at the end of the day.
Let's flip over to defense because the defense was supposed to be good last year. Statistically speaking, it was good. I never saw them being all that good. I never saw a fourth down stop to win a game or anything like that.
We've had
3
DPs over 6 years now. Where does Zach rank on your list
of defensive coordinators?
Mm-hmm.
You know what's tough is that I thought he was a good DC. I just thought we never had I don't want to say didn't have the players, but I thought he did a pretty good job when it came to like retooling and like putting guys in positions. I just didn't think we had like the positional players. And we always get the injury bug. I don't know what the deal is. The corners always got the injury bug. It always felt late in the season that we were running guys that were like third string wide receivers at corner. Like
we
never
literally
failed.
had Jake Gyllenhaal from Remember the Titans at corner several weeks in a row.
It felt like it.
Liability.
It felt like it for sure. So yeah, man, we got to retool the entire secondary. Luckily, Sunbelt Conference, not a big pass happy conference for the most part. Most of these teams are run first teams. Southern Miss, in particular, which is now a rival of Texas State. I'm putting Southern Miss. I'm putting Arkansas State. I'm putting ULM. They are all now, because people always complain Texas State doesn't have any rivals in state. Southern Miss, Arkansas State, ULM, you're on notice. You are now rivals of Texas State. Congratulations.
You think so? Or I think Southern Miss should be a rival just because we're trying to get justice for the state of Mississippi because of the Brett Favre thing.
Yeah, no, they're a rival. You don't think so?
No, yeah, no, that's fair, I guess.
Because they're good.
I
Like, I
think
mean, Southern.
JMU should be a huge rival for Texas State because they just
No,
kick the shit out of us and everything.
no. JMU is a different stratosphere. We are like the bottom fourth of the conference. We beat up on those guys. It's kind of like Premier League soccer, right?
Okay, we're trying to get promoted.
You're trying to get promoted to be like a rival of like LLL or ULL, or somebody else. I don't know. Southern Alabama, South Alabama, like
not Nicholls State.
not Nicholls State. You don't. Honestly, Texas State fans, I apologize. You're gonna hate to hear this. I think that you should dead the rivals when you get good and just be like, yeah, okay, a lot of history there. Fine. We're not doing the paddle anymore. Right? Like in a world where Texas State is a top 25 team every third year, like we sneak into the final poll of the top 25 team. In a world where that happens and UTSA say takes a couple steps back, I don't want to hear rivalry anymore. I want to be like, no, we beat the hell out of them every year. It's not a rivalry because they do the same shit to us. They say it's not a rivalry. We beat them every year. So I don't want to hear it.
I think the UTSA one runs a little bit more deeply than football because those guys were so mean last night to me and everybody else that was there wearing maroon and gold. Outrage here in San Antonio. So I think it does mean more. Shout out the SEC, but I think it does mean more
for UTSA.
Yeah, because we're both competing basically for the same student body, really, in that same area for the most part of Central Texas. And UTSA students like to float the river too, and they just shit up a storm when they're over there. So it's like, yeah, what's up with that?
No, this isn't going to be UTSA.
Everywhere they go, they just kind of,
they ruin it.
They cause a ruckus.
They ruin it. They ruin the vibes.
They get rowdy. Damn bird.
Lame. Yeah, we got to retool the entire defense, man. So I'm not super thrilled by that. I think we lost.
You're talking
top
scheme,
two,
right? Not necessarily personnel. Because we have some veteran personnel, Torrey Spears, Brian Holloway.
Yeah, but Torrey Spears is a good one. That's a good name to mention. But I'm not like convinced that they were that good last year. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I thought they were good. I thought Zach did a good job putting people in positions. But it's just
Zach is honestly, he's not one. Because I think Coach Shoemaker has the opportunity to be the best defensive coordinator we ever had.
The one we just hired?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. You can say that. I'm not saying that.
I think Zach was pretty good.
Zach was great.
I thought if we had fired Jake and just hired Zach,
and kept Zach,
and then just kind of ripped that family apart, we could have had a great football team.
I was listening to an interview with Jason Kelsey, who's the center for the Eagles, and he was talking about the way that the Eagles have kept like their culture going. And it's like, even with new head coaches, they keep different personnel, right? So the offensive line coach that was under Doug Peterson's also underneath this new head coach. And I wish that happened at college level a little bit more. I wish that you could like say, hey, the head coach isn't working out. The CEO of the company is not working out. But you know what? We don't need to fire everybody. We can keep the accountant. We can keep, whatever else. We can keep the janitorial staff. We don't need a clean house, right? It feels like in college sports, you just clean house and you get rid of everybody. I wish that there's a way that you could keep certain personnel, because I would have kept Zach. And, maybe Shoemaker is the best defensive coordinator when we look back in 5 years. But I just think the way that Zach Spavital re-engineered Texas Tech's defense and then kind of took a middling defense at the end of the Withers era and made them competent. It's, that is something to be said for. But we are retooling in a lot of positions, Jacob. You're right. Or I'm right. We're retooling.
Because to me, like, we've had a lot of guys that fit the frame for the defense, right? You're talking about 6'3", 200-something pounds, can run a 40 in like at least 4.5, 4.6, some guys in certain key positions. But like, we just haven't had, I don't know, is it coaching? Is it scheme? Is it like, what's wrong?
Dude, I'm telling you, I think it's players. I don't think that there is an easier Brian London running around out there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like, you kind of need those type of guys. You need those guys that like,
he was like, well, I was in those games too, man. We just, we lost. Like,
but like, I think you need somebody that's like that. And I just don't think Texas State. You mentioned like these heights and weights, but like, there's athleticism to be said for too, to talk about. And I just don't know. Maybe the new guys are a little different, but this defense is going to be, I think, square one. Like, not square one, but like last year wasn't great. So let's see where they are this year.
This is also a chance too. This is one of the last opportunities before some of the summer workouts when they start posting all those videos and stuff. But the Twitter's very hot right now. Football, everything is like, oh, retweet, like, retweet. It's super active. Start losing games, start getting burned down the stretch for a drag route. It's gonna be a little bit different chirps online.
And again, this is why in the spring game, to go back to the beginning of the podcast, talk about why it's important. Again, I think it's really important because if the defense looks competent, now granted, it's against Texas State's offense, they're still trying to learn too, but if the defense looks competent, you might have a different tune next week when we talk, or 2 weeks from now when we talk about hey, maybe this defense is pretty good.
We're slowly assembling a bingo card, Zim. I started writing down a few points, little things that should go right, cross diagonal, full house kind of deal. If the defense wins next week, or on Saturday, I should say, or the offense wins, what does that really say about either unit?
Well, here's the deal. So if the offense wins, let's say in a world where Malik goes and looks outstanding, and CJ Rogers looks outstanding, right? And Ty Evans looks outstanding, and they're just dicing and slicing up the defense, then to me that says that we have 3 competent quarterbacks and we have a really good situation in the passing game. And I will feel very good about that. I will not feel good about the secondary that we just talked about. On the flip side, if Malik and CJ and Ty Evans all look terrible, but the passes are getting to the wide receivers and they're getting broken up by DBs, or they're not getting any time because they're getting pressure in their face, then that makes me feel like the secondary is fine and the upfront's fine. So if the offense wins, I'm going to have a couple questions about what that secondary looks like. And if the defense kicks ass, we're going to be talking about what does the center position look like? What is the offensive line going to do in the next couple weeks? How do these quarterbacks kind of separate themselves in that room,
Zemmel, we've been plugging these guys for a while. Elite Sports, they're the they're the company, I should say, who works with Texas State athletes, works with a bunch of athletes across the country to create original brands. And, they get a little NIL money out of it too. So they're creating brands for their team. And then you get to support the athlete themselves too. So it's a really cool deal.
Elite Sports, man. I love it.
ELTE, sports.com. If you use code SQUARE, you help us out, help the show out. But yeah, they got a bunch of cool stuff. My favorite still is Ben McClain's icy kind of vintage looking jersey that he's got of himself. It's just 4 Ben McClains doing different things. It's pretty sick. Check them out, elitesports.com. I also have a bunch of different athletes for them too. I'll pop up here too. Use code SQUARE. Check it out. So now it feels like, because we've covered this team for a while, 30 episodes or whatever this is now. What we all thought was going to be a very big strength, quarterbacks, is now kind of a big question mark. Another big thing that we thought we were going to have coming into the spring game, offensive line, another big question mark. And running backs, defense, question mark. They could be exclamation points, honestly.
Well, so this is what we call bored. People are bored. We're bored. We're just waiting for games to be played. You know what I mean? And that's what happens when you start analyzing something from, instead of just 4 different ways, now you're looking at it 17 different ways. That's where you get there's just nothing else to, kind of talk about. So this is why the spring game is so important too, is because it gives us content to talk about for the next 2-3 months until we get games.
Yeah. Because it'll start to dwindle media opportunities. GJ is talking to everybody and their mother right now. But when he's got to put his nose down in the summer, he's not going to talk to anybody, really. He may talk to us and Kev week to week if we get lucky enough. Or he'll do individual media opportunities or something like that. But it's not going to be open, really.
The other thing that's really important right now that kind of gets underrated, now does not get underrated on this channel, because Dave Campbell's does a really good job for high school athletics, of course. 7-on-7 is going on right now, Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
And the spring game happens, and I think a lot of these coaches, they wrap up the spring game, they spend the next couple weeks trying to figure out what we need to do for summer workouts and all that type of good stuff. And then they got to focus on high school athletics again. You got to get back on the recruiting trail. You got to go back to these 7-on-7 tournaments and start looking at quarterbacks and wide receivers and running backs and, the token offensive lineman who's just out there to snap the ball. This is kind of where these coaches have to be.
ABR, baby, always be recruiting. It's the
Mhm.
same kind of, I guess, mindset that baseball has too. As soon as they either make the field of 64 and go all the way and host a big chip over their shoulders, or they lose in the first round of the Sun Belt Championship, they got to go turn around and just start recruiting people, start going to all these junior colleges again.
Mhm.
It's kind of a hellish landscape.
Got to
As
go to Mission,
opposed
Texas, man.
basketball, which has clean breaks between the seasons.
Yeah, kind of. But even then, like, I mean, look, the women's March Madness was going on, and I ran into coaches in Lubbock. You know what I mean? So it's constant.
ABR.
To wrap up Texas State football in the spring game, if you have a chance to go out there, you should. I think that the atmosphere is going to be great. They're going to sell the used jerseys again as a fundraiser. They always do that, and it's a really good way to support the athletic program and also get a little swag. I never understand why that place is not completely full, how they still have jerseys a year later, because I would buy all that stuff if I could. Don't overreact. We will do it for you. We will overreact to the spring game for you guys. Don't overreact to it.
I guess that's my thing too, is like, I don't even know if I'll overreact, to be honest. Like, we drop a pass, you don't drop a pass. Like, I've already seen Texas State play horribly my entire collegiate career, and
I will overreact. I will overreact for both of us then.
all right. Yeah, I'm gonna go in with a very mellow head, not really expecting much, and then when something good does happen, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, look at that!" And
I
I'll
expect every pass to be a touchdown, or every pass to be intercepted for a touchdown.
Jesus Christ. You know what? Well, I was gonna start this whole thing off talking about the University of Texas's spring game and how there's obviously glaring things for those fans to I guess salivate over for the next like 6 months until somebody actually throws a ball. Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning whole debacle, and the other guy who apparently had a really good spring game too. But Texas State, I would think, won't have a lot of those. It's going to be whoever's the hot hand is going to get the ball. Whoever's doing well is going to continue to play, and anything else isn't really going to be left to question.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think the Arch Manning storyline is getting to be a little bit too much. I think that if he played at Michigan or Ohio State or Oregon, that this isn't even a story. I'm really glad that I don't have to deal with that, because I would be freaking out if I was a Texas fan, because I think that the national media cares way too much about a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah. Ooh, look. I got the spring game details announced. So it starts at 11 a.m., Bobcat Stadium. The gates open at 10. This is on Saturday, of course. It's basically going to be exactly like a home game. And there's also a bunch of experiences. There's a free 2023 Texas State schedule poster for fans. The Alumni Association is holding a crawfish boil at the pavilion. The Kids Fun Zone is open if you have kids. In-game on-the-field interviews with the Bobcats and coaches are going to be after. Post-game autographs with the Bobcats are open to all the fans. And like Zim was saying, they've got that merch sale too. And if you cannot make it into town, they're going to be broadcasting on KTSW. So just look at whatever the team is tweeting. They usually just tweet a link and you just hop on, and it's the StatCast too. So you have everything. It's great.
Yeah, I will be listening.
Honestly, spoils everybody who covers them.
It wasn't like this forever, so I'm very thankful.
It was like this when we were there, so
I'll be listening to it on my way to the Twins game. Going to the Twins game on Saturday.
To cover or watch?
To watch.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm. Byron Buxton t-shirt giveaway. Gotta get down there.
Before we go, Zim, I wanted to talk about UTSA and that whole game, because I had a great time yesterday. Just as a fan, I wasn't really there to cover the game. I ended up live tweeting it and just not talking to Alyssa or her family as they were there. But
the way to do it. Good in-laws.
It was a good time. I had fun. I actually got to see the team for the first time this whole year. I'm going to go out and see a couple games later on in the summer. It's hard to make it when it's raining all the time in San Antonio and San Marcos. I don't want to go sit out in the rain. But I had a great time. A lot of great takeaways from that too. Like Jack Stroud throws absolute gas, crazy. He was pitching over the weekend too, so he only threw like 40 balls. Peyton Zabel also pitched really well. Also only threw like 40 balls because they were managing him from the weekend. And then Nathan Medrano gets on the mound, takes a stumble. And so they're hoping it's not very serious. He's getting checked out by the doctor today. Maybe we'll learn something new that I can tweet out. But yeah, that was scary. And so they brought in Rhett McCafferty, who literally threw 5 balls. And then they brought out Cameron Bush to close it out, and he got the save. Well, this has been fun. So, yeah. Squaring around on the Republic of Football podcast for Dave Campbell's. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.